There's been significant historical debate about whether the Irish were among the first enslaved people brought to the Americas, arriving nearly 10 years before the first African slaves. Slavery has been one of humanity's oldest and most profitable enterprises, and the Irish people were targeted for a millennium. Throughout their history, the Irish faced persecution from various powers, including enslavement and forced servitude. Today, we're exploring some crucial questions. When did Irish enslavement begin? How long did this trafficking continue? Who was responsible? Some historians dispute the extent of Irish slavery under English and British rule, arguing it was primarily voluntary indentured servitude. While indentured servitude certainly existed, there are compelling counter-arguments worth examining. The actual numbers of those enslaved, particularly during the 1600s before the 1707 Act of Union, remain contested. British legal documents use the term indentured servants, regardless of whether people had willingly signed contracts or were forced to leave. Many were coerced. Those transported against their will and effectively sold weren't truly indentured. They included political prisoners, vagrants, convicts, activists, thieves, prostitutes, and anyone the English government deemed undesirable. The Irish first experienced systematic slavery during Viking raids beginning in 795 AD, continuing through the mid-9th century. During this period, the Irish suffered the same fate as other societies Vikings attacked, killed or enslaved. Early raids targeted the northern and eastern coasts, using hit-and-run tactics. Vikings would seize treasure and captives, then retreat to their bases in Scotland or Norway. Valuable slaves were sometimes ransomed back to their families, but many remained captive. By 837 AD, larger Viking forces targeted major monastic centers, including Armagh, Glendalough, Kildare, Slane, Clonard, Clonmacnoise, and Lismore. Smaller inland churches and villages were generally spared from these massive raids, though captives were still taken to Scotland and Iceland. In 875 AD, Irish slaves in Iceland staged what became Europe's largest slave revolt since the Roman Empire's fall. The slaves killed their master, Jorleifur Hrumarsson, and escaped to Vestmannaeyjar. In 841 AD, Olaf and Ivar the Boneless captured and occupied what became Dublin. By 853 AD, this region had become a major Norse trading hub, where slaves were a significant commodity. The slave trade continued even after Ivar's death in 873 AD. In 902 AD, combined forces from Brega and Leinster drove the Vikings from Dublin, but they returned in 914 AD, reclaiming territory and capturing more slaves. Irish resistance persisted, however. In 980 AD, Mael Secnail Macdomnael, king of Meath, defeated the Vikings and liberated all slaves. Some Vikings who stayed behind converted to Christianity and integrated into Irish society. The final blow to Viking control came in 1014 AD at the Battle of Clontarf. Brian Boru, the High King of Ireland, attacked Dublin with help from the Limerick Vikings, fighting against other Irish who had allied with Dublin's Vikings. Boru's forces won, freeing all slaves and ending the era of Norse raids from both Danes and Norwegians. Forced enslavement in its harshest form ended about a century after the Norman invasion of England in October 1066. True slavery was abolished in Ireland in 1102 AD. In 1155, Pope Adrian IV allegedly issued a papal bull giving King Henry II of England authority to invade Ireland, though many historians believe this document was forged. Regardless, Henry II faced excommunication for the murder of Thomas Becket, Archbishop of Canterbury, making papal approval politically valuable. Adrian's successor, Pope Alexander III, did grant Irish lands to Henry II, though he had no legitimate claim to give them away. The Norman conquests of England and Ireland were watershed moments that shaped both Irish and world history, creating tensions with England that would last 8 centuries. Dermot MacMurrough, the deposed King of Leinster, initially invited the Normans to Ireland, sometimes called Dermot of the Foreigners. He was Brian Boru's great-great-grandson. In October 1171, King Henry II landed in Ireland, allowing Dermot to recruit soldiers and mercenaries. Ireland was divided into several warring kingdoms at the time. Dublin and its surroundings fell under Norman control, becoming known as the Pale or the Safe Zone. Venturing beyond its borders was considered dangerous, giving us the phrase we still use today, beyond the Pale. The Normans ended slavery in Ireland, but not serfdom, which persisted for centuries. Unlike slaves, serfs were bound to the land itself. Since land meant everything, selling people as slaves would have left no one to farm and maintain agriculture. After the Battle of Kinsale in 1601, where an Irish-Spanish alliance was defeated, Ireland's aristocracy fled to Europe, while commoners remained. This created a power vacuum filled by English nobles. Reports vary widely, but estimates suggest English forces captured between 15,000 and 30,000 Irish and Spanish soldiers. The Spanish allies were permitted to leave, the Irish were not. In 1603 or 1604, King James I of England, crowned March 23, 1603, reportedly issued the Order of Banishment, allowing captured Irish to be sold into permanent exile. After nearly a decade, the king authorized the English Governor-General to collect and sell captured Irish soldiers as slaves and transport them to the New World. In 1612, the first recorded Irish slaves were sold, possibly to the Portuguese, and taken to the Amazon River basin in what is now Brazil. This marked their arrival in the New World. There's debate over whether these people were indentured servants or slaves, but since they were forced from Ireland, the assumption that they went voluntarily seems illogical. They were slaves. Historical records indicate that in 1625, James I's son, Charles I, issued a decree authorizing Irish slavery. Given James I died in March 1625, it was likely Charles who issued this royal authorization. This included captured prisoners, common criminals, and troublemakers who were sold as property to English plantation owners in North American colonies. Tens of thousands of Irish men and women were sent to Eastern American colonies as well as Guyana, Antigua, Montserrat, and other Caribbean locations between 1629 and 1632, with more following over subsequent decades. By 1637, approximately 69% of Montserrat's population was Irish, many as indentured servants, but some as slaves. The economics were straightforward. African slaves cost 20 to 50 pounds sterling, a fortune in those days. Irish slaves, however, were traded for 900 pounds of cotton per person or bartered for tobacco and indigo. The Irish became the largest source of slaves for English traders and plantation owners at that time, far surpassing the African slave trade until the early to mid-1700s. Between 1641, during the Irish Rebellion, and 1652, over 550,000 Irish were reportedly killed by English forces, and 300,000 more were sold as slaves, mostly military-aged men. Their children, particularly women and girls, were sold and considered highly valuable for domestic service. The greatest perpetrator of this tragedy was Oliver Cromwell, who defeated Charles I in 1649 during the English Civil War and had him executed. As Lord Protector, Cromwell waged a ruthless campaign against Ireland starting in 1649. By 1650, nearly 29,000 Irish were reportedly sold to planters in St. Kitts. During the 1650s, it's claimed, though disputed, that around 100,000 Irish children, typically ages 10 to 14, were taken from their parents and sold as slaves or indentured servants in the West Indies, Virginia, the Carolinas, and New England. Some sources claim that between 1651 and 1660, Irish slaves outnumbered colonists in all these areas. In 1652, Cromwell ordered 12,000 Irish to be sold to Barbados. These numbers aren't disputed, only their status as slaves or servants. On May 1, 1654, his To Hell or to Connaught Proclamation was issued during the 1662 settlement period. This was when the English began confiscating all Irish-held lands, forcing native Irish to relocate west of the Shannon River. Those who resisted were sent to the West Indies as slaves or executed. Cromwell's own words proclaimed, "Those who failed to transplant themselves into Connaught or County Clare within 6 months shall be attainted of high treason or sent to America or other parts beyond the seas. Those banished who return ought to suffer the pains of death as felons by virtue of this act without benefit of clergy. The English could kill the Irish without penalty, but selling them proved far more profitable. Over 80,000 more Irish were reportedly sold, with 52,000 going to Barbados and Virginia, though exact numbers cannot be verified. Many argue these were indentured servants, not slaves. Yet there are no records of contracts between those forcibly removed and their benefactors. Given the barter system using tobacco and cotton to trade for workers, it's reasonable to conclude these deported Irish were in fact slaves. In 1656, the Council of State ordered the roundup of 1,000 Irish girls and 1,000 Irish boys in their early teens, some even younger, to be sold to Jamaican planters. These numbers are disputed but seem plausible, as these would have been children whose parents were already deported.
Part of this order was an edict passed on October 2, 1665, which stated, "Upon report of Committee for America concerning proposals for transporting persons from Long Island to Jamaica, to confer with the Committee for Jamaica." These persons were Irish, and no indentured servant would be released to go to Jamaica. These had to be forcibly exported Irish already present in New York. Some English authorities receiving these Irish slaves appeared concerned, as evidenced by this 1653 report. Commission appointing Cornelius Holland, Colonel Owen Roe, Sir Thomas Roth, and 14 others to take into consideration the present condition of those plantations, many well-affected persons there having been much oppressed and unjustly dealt with in relation to matters of conscience. Whitehall, June 28, 1653. The situation with forcibly removed Irish, who weren't people to accept subjugation quietly, appears to have created fear of uprisings. This is explained in a Whitehall document from November 18, 1656. The Council of State to Captain Wilkinson, importance of the Somers Islands to the interest of the Commonwealth, supposition that the Spaniards will endeavor to get a footing there, doubtful that a principle of disaffection may yet be retained by some of the inhabitants. He is encouraged to attend to his duties as commander of the fort, to keep a vigilant eye on the malignant and discontented party, that they may have less opportunity to prejudice the island's safety. This referred to the Irish population, which authorities feared would revolt. There would be no reason to worry about indentured servants in this way. Whether one accepts the full extent of Irish slavery or not, the fact remains that Irish people were forced into bondage. The exact numbers may never be known, but the historical record makes clear that this was not voluntary servitude for many thousands of Irish men, women, and children.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Mysterious History. Send us your comments, questions, or show ideas, and we'll respond as soon as we can. Thank you.